Here's a question for all of you film lovers. What do you get when you cross an inspired Paul Thomas Anderson coming off of a 5-year hiatus, the camera work of Robert Elswit, a groundbreaking introduction to the great Paul Dano, and a career best performance from Daniel Day-Lewis? Your answer? One of the best films of the new millennium. My name is Greg Rodane, and this is A Scene I Like. The way I'm going to do this is to show the scene in full first without my commentary to get everyone caught up on it. If you're familiar with the scene already, feel free to skip ahead.
Mr. Plainview?
Yes?
Are you Daniel Plainview?
Yes? What can I do for you?
You look for oil.
That's right.
What do you pay for a place that has it?
Well, it depends.
What does it depend on?
On a lot of things.
If I told you I knew a place that had oil where land could be bought cheaply, what do you think that would be worth?
Oh, I think that you should let me know what you know, and then we'll try and work something out.
Can I sit down?
Please.
What church do you belong to?
I enjoy all faiths. I don't belong to one church in particular. I like them all. I like everything. Where are you from?
That would be telling you. That's what I want to sell you.
What are you doing in Signal Hill?
We have oil and it seeps through the ground. Do you want to pay me to know
Well,
where
just
it
because
is?
there's something on the ground doesn't mean there's anything beneath it.
Why did Standard Oil buy up land?
It's in California?
Maybe.
How much land they buy?
I'd like it better if you didn't think I was stupid.
Why'd you come to me?
You just brought this well in.
That's right.
Yes, so just give me $500 in cash right now and I'll tell you where it is.
I'll tell you what I'll do, son. I'll give you $100 now, and if it proves to be a promising lease, then I'll give you a $1,000 bonus.
$600.
Just tell me one thing to help me decide. What else have you got up there? What do you grow?
We have a big ranch, but it's mostly rocks. You can plant things, nothing will grow but weeds. What makes you think it's up?
Is there sulfur around or alkali deposits?
Alkali nearby. I don't know sulfur. Is that your son?
Yes.
Hi.
Hi.
Who are you?
I'm Fletcher Hamilton. Nice to meet you, son. What's your name?
What do you do?
I work with Mr. Plainview.
Here's $500, son. You tell me something worth hearing. This money's yours.
I come from a town called Little Boston in Isabella County. This is us here. Spur Station here at Little Boston. The Sunday Ranch is what you're looking for. There's a sheep trail that takes you there. It's a mile out of town, headed west, not far. Just through a small pass here near the base of the hills. You'll pass a church and just follow the sheep trail.
Where's Standard buying up?
Here and here.
And your family name is Sunday, yes?
That's right.
How many is in your family?
My father and mother and sisters and my brother Eli.
How many sisters do you have?
2.
What's your name?
Paul.
Does any of your family know about the oil that you say is there?
I don't know. My uncle always said there was oil there, but I don't know what they heard or what they think.
What do you grow?
It's goats. It's a goat farm. I told you, nothing grows but weeds.
Is there water?
It's salty. You drill a well, it's hard not to get salt water. The oil is there. I'm telling you. I want to go now, so...
Well, you can stay tonight.
No, I want to go now. I want to leave.
Listen, Paul. If I travel all the way up there and I find that you've been lying to me, I'm gonna find you and I'm gonna take more than my money back. Is that all right with you?
Yes, sir.
All right then.
Nice luck to you. God bless.
And to you, young man.
Now that we've watched the scene in full, let's break it down. I want to start with the light above Paul Dano's head and what it's telling the viewer. But first, it's important to keep in mind that in this scene, Dano is playing Eli's twin, Paul. An interesting piece of trivia is that Dano was originally casted just to play this small role of Paul Sunday. However, after filming had already started, Anderson scrapped the actor originally intended to play Eli and asked Dano to play both roles, as twin brothers. Was the choice to have Dano play a pair of twins a means to save money and time because they had already started production? Possibly. However, I think that this decision was based more on artistic intent, and I think that this scene shows that. I'll explain more about that later. Now back to the light. When Paul Sunday enters the frame, there is an overhead light above his head in the upper right corner. As he begins to talk to Daniel off of the screen, he steps forward, and a second, higher up light appears in the top right. As he walks into Plainview's office, we briefly see a light hanging on the wall, right there, and then a desk lamp placed directly to Plainview's left. These lights act as a visual cue into Plainview's office. Paul must move forward and up into it, and then downwards to meet Daniel at his desk. Is Paul moving from darkness to light where he finds Daniel at his desk telling the viewers that this exchange will be a positive interaction for Paul? Hindsight ultimately tells us no, but it's important to remember that at this point in the film, we don't see Daniel as evil yet, and this exchange could lead to Paul's family making a decent chunk of money. Paul sounds desperate and perhaps easily flappable, so we see Daniel well lit, owning more of the frame as a powerful person in this scene. However, when Paul reveals that he may have some information that is useful to Daniel, the balance of power is shifted to a more equal playing field. So, Paul sits down.
Can I sit down?
Please.
The equal playing field is quickly eliminated. Through expert blocking, it is not revealed that there is a third person at the desk, Daniel's partner Fletcher, until Paul sits down. The camera slowly moves in, bringing us into the conversation as Paul and Daniel discuss faith. Daniel, high on the prospect of getting information for cheap, leans in while Paul sits back from the desk, suspicious and well guarded.
That's what I want to sell you.
What are you doing in Signal Hill?
We have oil and it seeps through the ground. Do you want to pay me to know where
Just
it
because
is?
there's something on the ground doesn't mean there's anything beneath it.
Why did Standard Oil buy up land?
Is it in California?
Maybe.
How much land they buy?
I'd like it better if you didn't think I was stupid.
When Paul asks Daniel not to take him for a fool, the camera slowly rotates to show only the side profile of Paul. Paul is stern and unwilling to compromise. The camera shift shows that he has gained some power for the first time. However, for most of the camera rotation, Fletcher is still in the shot, and even when it's just Paul, we only see half of his face. As you'll see in this scene, he never quite gets the chance to fully own the frame.
I'll tell you what I'll do, son. I'll give you $100 now, and if it proves to be a promising lease, then...
We then go to an over-the-shoulder, which reveals Daniel in better lighting. After realizing that Paul cannot be easily manipulated, he changes his tone and takes on a somewhat friendlier way of speaking. The reverse shot of Paul over Daniel's shoulder is the first time we see Paul well lit and from the front. This is time to shine, right? Not so fast. Daniel's son HW pops into frame in the bottom right corner, positioning Paul between the father and son. This is beautiful framing of a shot and serves to represent both the metaphorical and literal foretelling of what will ultimately drive Daniel and HW apart in this film. Metaphorically speaking, Paul's information he is selling leads Daniel to buying the land where the explosion happens, where HW loses his hearing, thus causing him to become distant and mistrusting. Literally speaking, PTA chose to use the same actor to play Eli and Paul. This means that this is the actual face of the person that will drive HW and Daniel apart. Eli and Daniel's rivalry leads Daniel to become evil, misanthropic, greedy, and self-centered, thus weakening his relationship with HW. Small decisions to frame a shot like this are what separates expert directors and cinematographers from the rest of the pack.
What makes you
Paul
think
then has a
so?
quick
Is there
exchange with
sulfur
Fletcher
around?
and says hello to
Alkali
HW.
deposits?
Alkali nearby. I don't know, Salt.
Having a son makes Daniel appear to be more trusting and sympathetic, which is all part of his master plan. After HW and Paul say hello to one another, Fletcher steps in as more of the hard end of the two between him and Daniel. This positions Paul between a sympathetic father and son duo and a less sympathetic, singularly minded businessman in Fletcher.
Hamilton. Nice to meet you, son. What's your name?
What do you do?
Daniel then steps back in as negotiator, having repositioned himself as a fair family man.
$500, son. You tell me something worth hearing. This money's yours.
Music begins as Paul starts to reveal his information to Daniel. Although Paul may feel that he has bargained a good deal, the camera only showing half of his face reveals that he has probably just been duped by Daniel. The scene switches to an outdoor location with a map laid out. Again, Paul is positioned between Daniel and HW, while the ever-present Fletcher looks on from behind. Two lights, one positioned to the left of the screen far behind Daniel's back, and one directly over Paul's head represent the shift in power. The $500 for the information has been exchanged. Paul now holds the power as he reveals the information on the map. Interestingly enough, Paul's head momentarily blocks the light when he reveals that he has a brother named Eli.
My father and mother and sisters and my brother Eli.
How many sisters do you have?
Is the use of light or lack thereof again representing positions of power? I respect Paul Thomas Anderson too much to accept that it was just a coincidence.
I don't know.
As the scene wraps up, Fletcher again plays the bad cop. While Daniel asks about Paul's family, Fletcher hits Paul with the more important questions about the land.
It's goats. It's a goat farm. I told you, nothing grows but weeds.
Is there water?
It's salty. You drill a well, it's hard not to get salt water. The oil is there. I'm telling you. I want to go now, so...
Oh, you can stay tonight.
No, I want to go now. I want to leave.
Listen, Paul. If I travel all the way up there...
The scene ends with Daniel threatening Paul because, well, he's Daniel
I'm going to find
Plainview.
you, and I'm going to take
As Paul
more
exits,
money
we are left
back.
with Fletcher, Daniel, and
Is that all right with
HW
you?
all in similar positions from where they started. With the absence of Paul, we see that Daniel has his back turned to HW, further foretelling the rift that this newfound information will cause between the two in the future. Thanks for watching. This has been A Scene That I Like.